What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that all of you guys are enjoying your Wednesday afternoon. So, baby, I was waiting okay, for this Monique interview on Club Shay Shay. And child, let me tell y'all, she let the choppa sing, okay? You can call Monique a lot of things, but what you cannot do is call her a liar because like many Black women, she gonna have the receipts, okay? The audio recordings that she sent before her and her husband and her team even came on Club Shay Shay. She wanted to ensure that Shannon Sharpe heard for himself what Tyler Perry said, but we'll get to that in a second. So she opens the interview with Shannon Sharpe talking about Skip Bayless, okay? And she said, I'll let you hear in her voice what she said.
Okay, so let me say this to you. The day I watched Skip Bayless lose himself with you, and that's what he did. He lost himself. And when I watched Skip Bayless say to you, put them goddamn glasses back on, boy. Now, I know he didn't say goddamn and boy, but that's what everybody heard. And I was waiting for you to snatch his ass across that table, baby, and give it to him. I was like, Shannon, this is the perfect time. I don't condone violence.
Right.
I don't say be violent. But that day, I was in my feelings for 2 days. Me and my grandbaby could not watch you for 2 days. And my husband had to say, Mama, let's talk about this. Look at Shannon Sharpe. He retired in 2004, but he could still get on that field and run touchdowns, tackles, everything. Had he snatched Skip Bayless across that table, he would have died in Shannon's arms that day.
Right.
So Brother Shay Shay handled that right. Now we can talk. Okay.
And she's absolutely right, okay? Shannon Sharpe has elevated his platform. He is getting more views, more money, more clout, right? Because they're talking about his interviews with Cat Williams still. They talked about on the Golden Globes. He elevated his life. He leveled up from Skip Bayless, okay? Which is what I love about him. And Monique, I love the fact that she talked about how she did love Oprah as she was a kid because they were both dark-skinned, fat Black women. But what I didn't know, right, was that she talked about how Oprah essentially stole her roles, okay? She talked about her family neglect and how Oprah went behind her back with the Lee Daniels situation in regards to taking her her role. She was offered on The Butler, but Lee said essentially he was broke and he had to work with Oprah because Oprah had the money. She has the capital. She has the clout, right? And she also talked about how, you know, when she initially said how Black women were undervalued and devalued and not paid enough, that I guess it was her being the messenger. People didn't like the fact that, you know, she was so strong in her delivery. She also said this, you know, people didn't like the fact that she had a husband at home who stood by her side. They would rather see it from Taraji P. Henson, who went on platforms while promoting The Color Purple, and that she was broken. And she made the comparison to Claudette Colvin, who was not palatable to be the face of the civil rights movement, as opposed to Rosa Parks, who was, you know, lighter. She said that Claudette was darker skinned and she had a baby. So she wasn't as readily acceptable in similar ways, right, that Taraji would be heard and be seen as more someone that people had empathy for versus Monique. So the interesting thing about when she said that she sent this audio to Tyler Perry, Shannon said, and Monique clocked it, but Shannon said, well, why did you record him? And Monique was like, well, it was legal, right? But Tyler Perry essentially, you know, said that he apologized for how he treated her privately on this audio clip, but publicly wanted Monique to apologize to him. And Shannon was like, well, why does Tyler want an apology from you? And Monique's like, well, when you find that out, you let me know. Okay. She's like, I'm not apologizing for anything. And then she moved on to Kevin Hart. So Kevin Hart reached out during this whole Tyler Perry thing, and he said that he wanted to move past it. He wanted to work with her, but that his manager called and said that, you know, Kevin was going to kind of distance himself. He didn't want anything to do with it. So she calls Kevin and he's like, no, it's a miscommunication. blah, blah, blah. We definitely going to work together. I'm going to help you out. And he did actually send money. So kudos to Kevin when her family was in financial straits. And she said she paid him back with interest. So she thought that they were all good. And she called Kevin to work together. She said she ain't heard from him in 2 years. Dang. Another thing that Monique said that was really poignant that stuck out to me is she said, Shannon, you know what my name would be if I was a white woman in Hollywood? And Shannon replies, he says, wealthy, which is true. She said, Melissa McCarthy, who I think has like a net worth of $100 million. Wealthy, and she's absolutely right. Okay, but the real haymaker was the clip that's going around social media right now, trending right this second about Tiffany Haddish. Okay, because she let that choppa sing. We're going to let her say it in her own words, and I'm going to give commentary.
I remember our beautiful sister Tiffany Haddish did an interview with GQ magazine. And this, in my humble opinion, is where we keep throwing each other under the bus. You're doing an interview with GQ magazine, and I'm assuming the journalist was a white person. And the conversation turned to Monique. And she said, well, I don't do business like Monique do business, and I'm glad I don't have that husband of hers.
But you don't know your husband.
And when I saw that, it's like, Tiffany, if you had a husband like mine, you may not have 2 DUIs. If you had a husband like mine, you may not be caught up in what looks like you could have been grooming a child. And I say all of that with no judgment. But when you speak about having a husband like mine, you open up the door. And I'm saying to you, if you had one like mine, you may not sit in these positions that you can't explain the next day.
Right.
Or it's a hard way to go. So once again...
Well, she doesn't even have a husband, let alone like yours.
Well, damn it now. You said it.
Shannon, you ain't have to throw that in there, okay? I'm like, not Shannon twisted the knife, okay? Not y'all coming with the 1-2 combo. I'm telling you, baby, you could say a whole lot of things about Monique, I promise you, but every single thing she said is the truth. 2024 is not letting up, okay? It's only the 7th of February, and baby, 2024 has been on our necks the whole year. All right, so then she talked about how her first big break was the Apollo Theater. She said that, a lot of people, of course, were nervous, but she said as soon as she saw the one woman that's always there in the front with the jerry curl, she said that when she stood up, she said everything was good. She got a standing ovation. I know that's right. Her first stage was on the Popeyes microphone in the drive-thru, and she used that to perfect her craft. I'm not mad at it. She also talked about how when she was at the Parkers made them over $800 million by the year 2009. But she said that they're trying to convince her and Countess Vaughn that essentially they didn't make any money. They only got paid $55,000 per episode when the show grossed the profit of $800 million. My goodness. She also talked about the bonnets. I was glad that she touched on that. And basically she just said that she, as Black women, we owe ourselves pride and dignity. And that's Monique, that's her generation. That's just how she, sees things. So, okay, I'll let her pass with that. She also talked about Almost Christmas, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies, how she was paid for a cameo, but they kept dragging it out because Monique is a very talented actress. And she said most of her lines were ad-libbed. She was one of my favorite on that movie, her and Danny Glover. But she says, Will Packard, his assistant, came into their trailer while she was in there with her stylist team, her makeup artist, and her hair person. She said that, and her assistant. And so Will Packard's assistant came in there and was like, why are your shoes off, to her assistant? And so she called Will Packard. She's like, that's unacceptable. And so Will Packard came and was like, well, I'm the agent I see. And so Monique was like, okay, well, you need to check your assistant. And so later on, she said their trailers literally blew up because of gas. And she said when she asked around what happened, since, Will was touting himself as the HNIC, Will just was like, oh, okay, it's nothing. It's no big deal. And the only thing they asked about was her wigs. She said they didn't care anything about any of the actors or people on set, our well-being or our safety. That's that's horrific. That's unacceptable. And so they end with, or at least I had to end shot. I had to go. But they talked about Shannon dating, and she said, she's like, I'm glad that, I'm not out here 56 and trying, because she says that her husband, loved her at her lowest and made her feel as though she was at her highest. And so she told Shannon to come on back home. And because a lot of people were saying that Shannon didn't date Black women. And he's like, that's a lie. My kids are Black. Right. People are always trying to disparage, Black folks. And I think a lot of times, and they both touched on this, anti-Blackness is conditioned, it's socialized into the fabric of not only American culture, but globally. And that's something that folks have to unlearn, recognize it, call it for what it is, unpack it, and unlearn it. But she said that, she has some, little tenderoni, not even a tenderoni, not a PYT, but a old school chick in the wings for him that'll bake him a nice red velvet cake. I love it. I love them two together. They invited Tyler Perry and Oprah on to the to Club Shay Shay. I don't think that they're going to come, but listen. If they do, I'm definitely going to be sad. So y'all let me know, what do you think about what Monique said? I enjoyed the interview. I got to get ready to go take care of some other business and knock out some work. But I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And I will talk to you in the next video. Take care, Aces. Bye.